Hello everyone, today I'm gonna show you another skill build. This is a infinite cloud control build. So what you can do with this build is putting on status effect on your enemy one after another. So they will stand there like stupid, and it provides time for your teammate to do their damage. You can even dance around them, or if you like, you can take selfie with them, and you will have no problem doing that. This is also a pretty simple build, so you can have this build very quickly. It doesn't require a lot of like fancy item or anything like that, and it is very important to have a CC in your team in TUA, especially when you are doing like legendary mission. So for the specialization, what you need is the gunner. The main reason to have this is that it not only have that riot foam grenade, it gives you extra way to do the CC, and also this Banshee. The Banshee launches a forward pulse energy that confuses enemy caught in the wave, and it penetrates cover. What is good about this is it can penetrate walls, it can penetrate room, it can penetrate almost everything. So you won't have to risk your health, so you can use the CC skill very safely. Plus the Banshee is actually cover large amount of space, so it is good as a starter to have to launch the Banshee at first, then just quickly burst every enemy down. Just imagine having like what 4 to 5 to 6 enemies standing together, launch a Banshee, and having another teammate using the explosive build that I posted yesterday. Then you won't have to see them running around like a Ferrari, or just waiting for them to get out of their cover. Especially they're so smart that if you're aiming at them, they won't get out of their cover. Even if you wait like what 5 to 10 minutes, they will still be stuck in there. Sometimes it gets very annoying to have your enemy just standing or sitting in the cover. So now there's a good way to force them out, or you won't even have to if your team have enough damage at first. So let's look at our build. For the skill set, I'm using Banshee, of course. This is a good and quick way to CC a large amount of enemy. You can see my skill here, the cooldown is only 9.6 seconds. But my effect duration goes up to 14.4 seconds. So just a quick reminder, the range and the cone angle is affected only by the cone size, but not the radius. But somehow your gunner transmitter gives a 8% radius. It doesn't make any sense. So just keep in mind and don't use the wrong one. The other slot that I'm putting is that effect duration. So it gives a little bit extra time for your CC skill. And the other skill that I'm using is the Blinder Firefly. It worked extremely well on those machine gun fat deal. All the other CC skill will not work as well as this one. So I will always have this Blinder Firefly as one of my CC skill. So you can see the cooldown right here is 22.7 seconds. With my blind duration having 24.4 seconds. So you can blind them infinite time, and they will stand there like stupid until you kill them. One thing to keep in mind is that the Firefly will start counting the cooldown at the last person that you blind. And for the weapon choice, I'm using this Perfect Perpetuation. If you hit a headshot, it gives you 50 extra status effect damage and duration in your next status effect you apply. The cooldown is 16 seconds only, so basically you can hit every single CC skill with this effects on if you can hit a headshot every time. You can see my CC skill effect duration is much longer than 16 seconds. So it is good to have perfect perpetuation to have the extra 50% time on your status effect. The secondary weapon I'm using is the Sweet Dream, of course. Your melee attack instantly kill non-elite enemies. So once you use your CC skill, it is good that you can run toward them and just do a melee attack just to do some extra damage and kill one extra enemy for your team. And the cooldown for this talent is only 15 seconds, so sometimes you can have enough time to kill 2 or even more. So for the gear set, I'm using Free China Night Industry. It gives you 15% explosive damage, which is not needed, but the 10% skill haste and the 10% of status effects is very important. And for the talent on this one, I'm using Overwatch. After staying in cover for 10 seconds, increase you and your ally total weapon and skill damage by 12%. Since you're only using your CC skill, you don't have to move around or find new cover or anything like that. So it is a good way and a good talent to have to give a little bit of extra amplified damage for your team. And the attribute that you want to have is skill haste and status effect. And the other two gear set that I'm using is the Wyvern Wear. It has the 10% skill damage and 10% of status effect. The status effect is the most important point of this build. It affects the time and the duration of our CC skill. The best choice is to also have one more golden gear. It has the 10% of status effects, but I do not have a good backpack for now, so I'm not using this golden gear at my knee pad. So if you have a Wyvern or a China Knight backpack, I recommend using this and then use the golden as your knee pad, or gloves if you want, but it's very hard to get a good golden gear because the core attribute will always be armor but not the skill tire. For the backpack talent, I recommend using the Creeping Death. When you apply a status effect, it is also applied to all enemy within 5 meters of your target. The other talent choice will be the Griffinize. So applying a blind, ensnare, confuse, or shock to an enemy gives you 40% of your armor as bonus ammo to allies within 20 meters of the enemy for 10 seconds. Not only it is very hard to have your allies standing right next to the enemy that you apply the status effects on, but also the 40% of your extra armor isn't that much for your team. So I would recommend using the Creeping Death as the only backpack talent. So when you're using Banshee or any other pause, you can keep holding on to your skill button, and your pause that you're using will have a larger area or larger space. So in this case with the Banshee, you will actually have extended length but a shorter width. And the Blinded Fly that we're using will require you to lock on one enemy by another to be able to blind every single enemy. So I'll recommend using the Banshee as the starter. Once you have located every single enemy, wait until the status effects is almost done, then try locking on every single one with that Blinded Firefly, and it will create an infinite CC time for the enemy, and they will just stand there like stupid, where you can dance around and you can take selfie with them, or you can take your car to a drive-thru, buy some food, you know, enjoy your time with your family, then come back to the game and they will still be under the status effect that you apply. The other skill choice that you can use will be this EMP Jammer Pause. You can also use this Shock Trap as your CC skill. The good thing about this is when the enemy is under the shock status effect, it won't move around. Unlike the Banshee and the Blinder, they will usually just walk around, find cover. But the bad thing about this, it has a tremendously long cooldown with 24 seconds. The next thing that you can use is this Riot Foam. It has 7 armor and the armor cooldown with 14.5 seconds, but the ensnare duration is 20.5 seconds. So you have the extra 6 seconds to charge your next armor as well. So this will ensure your enemy to stand there forever, not a chance for him to get away. The bad thing about this is the radius is not that accurate, so sometimes when the enemy is in the radius, it won't apply the status effects as you can see here. So it is not a good CC skill for a areas effect. But if you're only using it on a single target, it will be a great choice since it has 7 armor. And the status effect duration is actually longer than the cooldown, so you will have infinite armor to put on the status effects on the enemy. So the next thing you can play with using this build is that burn effects, the burn status effect. But I don't suggest doing it since it does more damage than doing CC. So the enemy can still run around, shoot you, or use their skill. But it will be a good way if you want to do some extra damage for your team. If you want to play a burn status effect, it's a good exotic choice as the Imperial Dynasty. The talent is that while in combat, apply burn to an enemy closest to you within 20 meters, having cooldown with 40 seconds. It is a long cooldown, but it is a fun gear to play with. So I found some random activity to show you guys what this CC build actually looks like in combat. As you can see, I blind this enemy, but he is still able to move around. But he will not attack or use their skill or anything like that. There's only two things that they will do. They either stand still or they will find a cover and hide. You can see here right after the blinder effects, I applied the Banshee status effect once again, and my blinder firefly is already up even before the Banshee status effects end. So we are able to create an infinite CC time for the enemy. And that is all, guys. So if you're tired doing damage all the time for your team, try out this CC build. Leave a like if you enjoyed watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll be making more gameplay videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.